I said that if they get blown out, Mike Tomlin is gone. And I was correct. Not in the way I thought. Mike Tomlin stepped down. And now that we're talking about Mike Tomlin to conclude this video, it is bittersweet reflecting because Mike Tomlin was the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. And he brought along with him, admittedly, a lot of success. The playoff success was not good enough, and that's why he needed to go. As I was looking at the game at the end, I was writing in my notes that I was hoping to hear loud fire Tomlin chants. But when it cut to the crowd, less than 5 minutes after the game had ended, almost the entire crowd was gone. They had left early in that game at some point. I don't know when. I didn't see it in the broadcast at all, but this team, this fan base checked out on their team. They absolutely checked out. And when you're an NFL franchise, when you're an owner, when you're a GM, that's the last thing you want. It's not great when your fan base is constantly angry at you, giving you scrutiny for getting another playoff loss. It gets really bad when your fan base straight up begins to feel apathy and they don't care. Because what's the point? If you're going to consistently lose in the wild card round in the playoffs every year, what's the point of watching and dealing with the trials and tribulations and all the up and down roller coaster emotions that go through being a fan watching your favorite team during the season? Why go through all of that when you know how the year is going to end? And it ended the exact same way. Once again, the Steelers, relatively strong regular season, eked into the playoffs and absolutely got destroyed. They got outclassed. This offense was absolutely nowhere near where it should have been. I don't even think the players that were the starters were actually out there. They could have been all decoys, and I wouldn't have known the difference. It was that bad, and that's the thing. And Mike Tomlin stepping down, it needed to happen. As much as Mike Tomlin has brought success to the Steelers and continued their success, I mean, that's the only 3 head coaches in franchise history is great, but they needed a change. It had been nearly a decade since the Steelers have last won a playoff game, and here's some stats for you that I compiled after this game. 22 NFL franchises have won a playoff game before Mike Tomlin since 2017. Since Mike Tomlin won his last playoff game. 29 coaches have won a playoff game in that span. 12 of them aren't even a head coach anymore. Do you want me to tell you who they are? I'll gladly tell you. Mike Mularkey, his one playoff win against the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown pass to himself? I sure do. Then Doug Marrone, Jaguars head coach, 1-year wonder. Anthony Lynn for the Chargers had one good year. That was it. Frank Reich had one good year. That was it. Also ran the Panthers franchise even further into the ground than they already were. Bill O'Brien has a better playoff record since Mike Tomlin last won a playoff game. Brian Daboll with the Giants. Kevin Stefanski, his divisional rival opponent, that also got fired this offseason. And then, if you want to count the special teams coach for the Browns, Mike Preffier, I think that's how he pronounces that last name. He took over as the interim head coach in the COVID year in 2020. That was the year that the Browns made the playoffs, kicked the Steelers' butt. That was also the year they went 11-0 and finished 12-4. So then you also want to include Bruce Arians, Pete Carroll, Jason Garrett, and Doug Peterson. Those are the 12 coaches that are no longer in the NFL. And look at the pedigree. Right here, other than Bruce Arians and Pete Carroll, none of these coaches are better than Mike Tomlin, yet they have a better playoff record. That goes to show, this change needed to be made. And if Mike Tomlin truly stepped down, and I think it was, apparently Adam Schefter, when the news broke, he talked about how Mike Tomlin had thought about, moving on for a while now. And if that's the case, and this was not a situation where ownership said either you step down or you get fired, if Mike Tomlin truly decided that he wanted to step down as the Steelers head coach, that is, despite everything, despite all the scrutiny that me, myself, and a lot of other Steelers fans and NFL fans have given to Mike Tomlin, that takes a lot of guts. And stuff like that is why I respect a lot from Mike Tomlin. Why I respect that man a lot is because no BS, hardworking attitude, but also he's humble and had the humility to step down when it mattered. It takes a lot to do that. I mean, that's not an easy choice to make, and I wish Mike Tomlin the best. I wish him success in whatever endeavor he carries forward with, whether it's another coaching opportunity in the NFL or he decides to lay low for a while and enjoy his life. Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest coaches of our generation, and that should not be ignored. Despite all the scrutiny, his success in Pittsburgh should not go underappreciated. It should not go ignored. And sure, while the playoff success has not where it needed to be, and he needed to move on, because what has transpired this past just about decade has not been good enough. It has not been good enough. That should not take away from the accomplishments that Mike Tomlin should have and the success and the greatness that he was as a coach. So congratulations for a great career, Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry it had to end that way, but you know what? All good things must come to an end, and we shouldn't be sad that it's over or be happy that it's over. Just be glad that it happened, because switching head coaches is always a risky move. It's always a time of uncertainty, and in a time right now where head coaches are being fired left and right and there seems to be no patience, no stability, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin were one of the few pillars in the NFL left that really stood for what the NFL used to be, and about time and patience. And so one can only hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers will continue that same philosophy, and given their track record, I think they will.